For today's Cyber CEO episode,
my wife came home after the first several weeks. I was at home not working. She wasn't used to seeing that, right? Like usually if she came home, I was still on my laptop. And often she'd go to bed and I'd still be on my laptop till 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. I would say that was the biggest thing was she looked at me and said, "What are you doing? Why aren't you working?" And for several weeks, I think she thought I was just slacking off. And I'm like, "It's done, babe." But it's been leveraged. It's being done, right? Two at the top of the list, Shara and Irene. They're amazing. They are a culture fit. Just them being a part of the family has been so amazing the past couple of years. It's so exciting to see their smiles every week. So.
welcome to Cyber CEO, wherein we talk about how our cyberbackers helped our cyber CEOs take their businesses to the next level. Cyber CEO is powered by Cyberbacker, the world's leading provider of admin support services from anywhere in the world to anyone in the world. Please visit our website www.cyberbacker.com for more details. Another awesome day here at Cyberbacker. My name is Jello. We're back with another episode of Cyber CEO. And of course, we have a very special guest coming back to the show. Jeff, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jello. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much for asking. And of course, for coming back to the show. I know you have a lot of things to do. Really appreciate the time. Now, what we wanted to do was just to, of course, talk to you more about your experience with Cyberbacker and virtual leverage. Now, for everyone's benefit, though, how long have you been partnered with Cyberbacker, Jeff?
Well, at this point, I've been a franchise owner for almost 2 years. I can't believe it's been that long already. Time flies when you're having fun. And I had a Cyberbacker as an assistant for about a year prior to that through Business Maps. And so I guess 3 years working with Cyberbackers.
So 3 years now partnered with Cyberbacker. Now, talk to me about that though. The word Cyberbacker. What comes to mind now? 3 years in business in partnership with Cyberbacker. What does Cyberbacker mean to you now?
I think the first word that comes to mind is opportunity.
Opportunity.
When you asked me that 3 years ago, I told a little bit of the story about how I had actually lost some clients to Cyberbacker when I was running a coaching and consulting business on my own as we went into quarantine. And I looked at Cyberbacker and said, there's got to be something going on here. Let me look in and check it out and figure out what I can do with Cyberbacker in order to benefit my business. And now that I've been working with Cyberbackers for so many years, a really big part of it for me is just realizing how much of a difference it's making inside of our Cyberbackers' life and in the lives of the small business owners that are utilizing Cyberbacker here in Maryland, DC, and Delaware. To me, that's been pretty profound, right? Like as I've brought new Cyberbackers into my business, I've talked to them in their one-on-ones about what their personal goals are, what they want to achieve. I had one gentleman I talked to last week. He only gets 3 hours of running water a day where he lives. And what he was able to do getting a virtual job and getting paid more and being able to stay home with his family was actually install tanks that as the water runs, he can fill up the tanks and use that to supply water to his family for 24 hours a day. And, just literally life-changing. Like he teared up telling me the story. Another Cyberbacker I'm working with, like she was able to get a car, first car in her family, right? And things that a lot of us in the United States just take for granted. But then I'm talking to small business owners and the opportunities provided them to not only be able to afford to hire for their first time, but also be able to afford to provide more leverage, because they may not have been able to afford another $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 here in Maryland and DC. And they are able to afford another $20,000 salary or so, whatever the rate might be for them, right? And so to that effect, they're able to take a lot off of their team's plate, which allows their team to focus more on their clients and just really achieve. And so inside of that opportunity spectrum, just being able to get in and be a leader and find out what your team needs to achieve their goals, and then work with them on achieving them so they can accomplish their personal dreams. It's really life-changing for so many people and around the world in that way. It's kind of been crazy.
Really, a lot of opportunity, a lot of dreams are being met, are being coming true. I mean, a lot of dreams are coming true, of course, and a lot of opportunities for business owners and for cyberbackers alike, of course. Now, talk to me more about that, though, because there is a partnership between business owners and cyberbackers. If you would be able to, let's say, give one tip, one piece of advice to a business owner, how do you make a partnership with cyberbackers successful? What would you say to that business owner?
I love that question. When I talk to clients or prospective clients here before they actually sign up with Cyberbacker, or maybe right after they've signed the contract, before they've chosen a Cyberbacker, my first piece of advice is act like you're hiring somebody for your team, right? Like, this is no different. If you've identified your core values for your team, if you've identified your culture, your mission, find other people inside a Cyberbacker as you do your interviews that align with the mission that you want to accomplish as a team, that align with your values that you want to accomplish and want to put out there as a team, that are in line with your customer service spirit, that tie into the culture and the nature of your team. And when you do that, like, they're going to feel like a part of your team. They're going to be family. You're going to want to invite them to all of your team meetings. You're going to wish they lived closer so they could come to your team gatherings and your outings, right? Like, I joke with Shar and Irene about that all the time. I wish I was closer because they'd be at my house swimming in the pool, for holidays, with other people on my team and their families. And I'm going to go see them probably this next summer. And like, it's when you hire the right people that are aligned with your vision, mission, core values, like, they are a part of your team. And so make sure that you find the right person, dig deep, interview correctly, identify what you need as a company, and find those people inside of a Cyberbacker.
Great piece of advice, right? They're just finding the perfect match for you, what your values are, what the role is going to be, what the tasks are going to be, of course. And of course, have our Cyberbacker team to help you out, our career backers, our growth backers, and everyone else to help out to make sure that you find that perfect match. Now, talk to me about tasks, though. What are the things that a Cyberbacker can do for a business owner, Jeff?
I haven't found something they can't do yet. I'll be honest with you. So, obviously inside of Maryland, a lot of the people that we're talking to are looking for, again, just somebody to take certain things off their plate. I joke around that my Cyberbacker has never gone and gotten me a cup of coffee, right? She doesn't set up the conference room before a meeting, and she takes care of all the other things while I'm in the meeting, right? Like, she's able to send out notes and send out the attachments that I've talked about, right? Like, so when I tell somebody on a call, hey, we're going to send you this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, I can literally hang up the call and walk away from it and just know that it's been done. Like, I don't even have to go back and look at it. And so inside of my clients' resources, like, we have restaurants, we have contractors, electricians, and mortgage companies, and transaction coordination companies, and title companies, obviously real estate coaches, medical services, right? Like, logistics, going all the way through. All of these companies have found a way to take, again, those virtual tasks. If it's being done on a computer, we can do it, right?
Absolutely.
And so they're finding somebody to either help with marketing, help with their social media presence, help reach out to their clients more consistently in order to stay top of mind, right? Like, get the paperwork done, get the bookkeeping done, enter their expenses, whatever it might be. Like, if it's something that you find yourself stacking up on the side of your desk, it's something that we can handle for you and do it very well. In fact, a piece of advice as a business coach that I give to a lot of my clients when they're trying to think about when to hire, my normal answer is, if you're asking that question, it's probably too late, right? like you probably should have hired somebody already. That means stuff is stacking up, and it's hindering your growth. Like, you've created your own throttling issue. You're your own choke point. And if you could hire somebody the moment you start asking that question, I think most teams would grow exponentially faster. It's figuring out how many different things you can take off your plate and focusing on the right thing for you, and then everybody else on your team focusing on their right thing. If you could keep every person on your team in their 20%, you imagine how much faster we'd all grow.
Oh yeah, gosh, that's the growth right there. Now, of course, there are a lot of things that a cyberbacker do, but to break it all down, just anything that they can do in front of a computer, a cyberbacker can do it, right?
Yeah,
That's basically
yeah. I mean, I know that sounds like really, they always tell you in business, niche down, right? Is that niche down enough? Anything in front of a computer. Is it? I don't know. We have there's a business here in Maryland that hired their COO. Their COO through Cyberbacker.
Wow. Gosh, who could ever imagine something like that?
Right?
Gosh.
A virtual
That's
COO.
crazy.
And of course, right? Why not? Because most companies, all their operations are online these days, right?
That's the
we're all
beauty of the
meeting virtually anyway. I mean, we're like, 12, 13 hours apart, and here we are having a regular conversation, right? Like, and it doesn't feel any different than the guy that I'm going to be talking to in a couple of minutes that's literally half an hour up the street. We're just going to do the same thing, right? Like,
not a big
save
difference
gas,
anyway. Yeah.
get it done.
But the beauty of technology nowadays, of course, because of virtual stuff and everything. Now, I want to learn more about the partnership that you've created with Cyberbackers. Now, you mentioned about finding the perfect match earlier. But of course, once you found that perfect match, you have to build on that partnership. Well, one of the building blocks would possibly be trust, right? We get that question a lot. How do I begin to trust my cyberbacker? This person is not in the same office as me. This person is not in the same country as me. How do you do that? How do you build trust with someone who you're working with virtually?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, I automatically revert to questions when people ask me questions. So as a coach, my first question would be, well, how do you build trust with somebody you're working with in person? And then we'd go down that road a little bit. But traditionally, what I end up thinking of when I talk about building trust, it's did we accomplish what we agreed upon in advance, right? And so if I'm thinking about what we agreed upon in advance as a leader, my job is to first A, set the expectations right in the job description. B, set the expectations right in the interview. C, set the expectations right in orientation. So when I hire a cyberbacker, I'm still going to put them through an orientation with my company and make sure they understand what we're about, show them the systems and the processes that we do, and then introduce them to, our communication cadence. So how am I going to continue to talk to my cyberbacker, my virtual services person, the person on my team that's, 12 hours time zone differences away, right? Like, how am I going to continue to interact with them on a regular basis? And what I used to tell all my in-person was, hey, listen, when you start working with me, the first several months, you and I are probably going to talk several times a day, right? Like, for hours at a time sometimes, as you get used to and learn the role and what it is that you're doing with me. And then at a certain point, I'm going to realize that you're starting to grasp what it is that you're doing. And we're going to move down to just talking a couple of times a day. And then we're going to move down to just checking in at the beginning and the ending of the day. And then we might eventually get to the point where we're just talking on occasion as it's needed and talking on our one-on-one each week and at our team meeting, right? Like, so when you need to reach out, when you need a helping hand, when you just need a laugh, call Jeff and we'll chat. But in the meantime, you're going to understand your job and you're probably going to be moving into the point where you're teaching other people how to do the job. And so initially we'll be talking a lot and then a little less and then a little less until I know you, trust you, and understand that you're doing the job. And I have to do that with anybody anyway, right? Because if I'm just handing off a task and walking away, what are the odds that they're going to do it correctly? I've shown you how to do it once. Now it's on you. Go get it. Or I didn't show you at all because I never built the system and process to begin with and I just expect you to do the job. Probably not going to happen very well.
Gosh. So really a lot of expectation setting during the beginning of the partnership and investing your time in your cyberbacker as well. So for example, just guiding them through everything and getting used to doing the task first. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I mean, when I hire somebody, I automatically put myself in one of two shoes. I either become a manager or I become a leader, right? So if I'm a manager, that means I'm hands-on all the time, right? Like, and I think it was Henry Ford that said it first, right? Hire talent and then get out of their way, right? And so if I hired the right person, eventually I'm going to be able to get out of their way. And I want to make sure that they understand where we're going, that they're thinking with some of my own thoughts. But at the same time, if I hire the good talent, they're going to be doing what they need to do anyway. And so what I really want to do is check in and make sure that they're on path to achieving their goal. And if they're able to do what we hired them to do, then it's not only going to help them achieve their personal goals, like we talked about in the beginning, but it's going to help my business achieve its goals. And as a leader, that means I've done a great job. Now I'm helping to raise my future leaders, right?
Yes.
Because I've given them the autonomy to think for themselves, to go out and get the work done on their own. I'm not hands-on every single minute of the day, but my company has also grown because systems and processes are being created without me. We're documenting them. And that way, when we hire replacements, or when we hire the person that's working for the Cyberbacker, then we've already got everything documented. So that way the company can grow and scale, right?
A win-win situation for both, of course,
I love
the
it.
Cyberbackers and the business owners. Now, one last question while I still have you here.
Sure.
Jeff. So what's been the biggest impact of virtual leverage in the business so far, the past few years that you've been working with us?
I laugh a little bit at this too, because I still get in a little bit of trouble for this. Right after getting my first assistant, my wife came home after the first several weeks, and I was at home not working. Oh. And it was like, it was like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. But that she wasn't used to seeing that, right? Like usually if she came home, I was still on my laptop. And often she'd go to bed and I'd still be on my laptop till 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, right? And I've worked with really large teams, like 1,500 people. And it didn't matter how big my team got. I was still on the laptop till like 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, even having a bunch of virtual people working for me. But inside of Cyberbacker, the one gentleman that was working for me, he just kept telling me to stop. They're like, stop. I got this. Like, let go. I'm like, okay, I'll let go. And I closed the laptop and I started to walk away from the laptop, and I'm a little addicted to walking away from the laptop now, but, I do what I need to do. And I would say that was the biggest thing was she looked at me and said, what are you doing? Why aren't you working? And for several weeks, like, I think she thought I was just slacking off. Like, you better get busy, man. Like, we can't let this change anything. You just bought into a franchise. Like, you just hired somebody, you need to get to work. And I'm like, it's done, babe. And she's like, no, it can't be done. I'm like, well, there's more to do. There's always more to do. But it's been leveraged. It's being done. Right. And so I tell myself, I kick myself a little bit, because I mentioned earlier, I tell my clients that if they're already asking about hiring a Cyberbacker, it's probably too late. I need to tell myself that sometimes too, is that I probably need to be hiring another Cyberbacker, because I think the only thing once you get into this pattern of leverage that keeps you from hitting the growth goals that you've got set is your risk aversion to hiring more people more quickly, right? And so if you feel like you're hiring too fast and you slow down, you're probably not going to hit some of the big growth goals as fast as you could have.
Gosh, so really more time now for yourself, of course, and personal, and for the business. A lot of growth right there in the business. One last thing before we end the interview today, or the talk that we're having, Jeff. For sure, your Cyberbackers are going to be listening to this once we have this out. Would you want to give them a quick shout out before we end?
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out to the two at the top of the list, and that's Shara and Irene. They're amazing. They are a culture fit. Shara has been joining me for leadership masterminds every Tuesday morning. So she's my co-host on what feels like a podcast like this. Like, we just get on and talk about leadership, and that's amazing. And then Irene has completely grasped helping our clients find a good culture and values fit for their teams. And so, just them being a part of the family has been so amazing the past couple of years. It's so exciting to see their smiles every week. So
Now, we are very excited to see the continued success of this partnership. And of course, Jeff, always wonderful having you on the show. Maybe we can have you here after a few more months, talk to you more about Cyberbacker and virtual.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me again. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to our daily dose of Cyber CEO. Stay tuned to know more about how Cyberbacker creates a difference in this digital time and age. You can visit our website www.cyberbacker.com and follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.